Hi everybody and welcome, it's me Spankie Jackzon, otherwise known as Blair Macbeth, aka the local whore from down the road. And welcome to SKAT CHAT, the very first podcast and episode that I am doing. You'll have to bear with us as well, because it's the first time I've done anything quite like this, so there may be some technical difficulties and you may have a few issues with the audio, but for now, you'll get over it because you really just wanted to listen to me talk shit all day. So welcome. So SKAT CHAT is a podcast where I'm going to have various guests and we're just going to talk the shit and shoot the shit. So it should be a good time. It's uplifting, super fun, and just not too serious, you know what I mean? Like, because hello, the world's serious enough as it is. So, super excited because my first guest is a super incredible person. She is the reason that you all have this atrocity that we call Spankie Jackzon. And it's my absolute pleasure to introduce to you my drag mother, the amazing Amanduh. Welcome to SKAT CHAT. You need to take yourself off mute. Unmute yourself.
Hi guys.
That's typical. I love how it took us like 4 hours to get this all together so that we could get the Zoom working. I know people, it was actually a process. So I hope that you appreciate the effort that went into creating one episode. But anyway, welcome Amanduh. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This is so exciting. You look great.
Thank you so much. It's because I had a shower today, washed my box, got up, put all my oils and creams, lotions and potions on. Yeah. You got to keep it together.
Yeah, you do. How's life?
Oh, life is great. Life is good. I mean, I'm sitting here talking to you, which, you know, things could be better, but but here we are.
Ta-da!
For the people at home, obviously you are a New Zealand legend. You're a New Zealand drag legend. You have been a fierce advocate for the LGBTQIA plus community of Wellington and New Zealand. You have, you know, pretty much paid for all of the council streets from the amount of times that your legs and shoes have been walking down the street. So that's been amazing. Oh, yes. Throw some coins or some KFC chicken at her. She'll love that. And you're also the founder of the Wellington International Pride Parade and now new star of the Boy, the Queen and everything in between, which we'll talk about later. Welcome. Welcome to the people.
Hi, people.
So first question, I think what I would like to know, and I think like people at home would love to know is, you know, you were my inspiration, but who inspired you to do drag and how did you start?
See, I don't know whether I aspired to being a drag queen. I don't know whether anyone really influenced me in 2000 in that era when I started doing drag. Drag for me was a financial necessity at the time. I got myself into a little bit of a situation financially.
Yeah.
And I thought, I need to get out of this. And I saw that there was an avenue and it was called doing shows. You got paid fairly well. So I thought, let's do that. And I did and didn't realize that within 5 years I was clapped. Loved
it. Or you had the clap, one or the other.
I gave it back though. It's the clap I gave back to the eBay. So you can now purchase it. It's on sale for $2.95.
Oh God, I mean, nobody wants a secondhand clap. Like that's that's delicious, honestly. Well, thank God that you were inspired to do drag because otherwise you wouldn't have, you know, passed it on to me, I guess. A bit like the clap. Thank God you haven't passed that on to me, which is good.
I can
but what do you think is different now doing drag like today versus say in the 1920s when you started?
Okay, thanks for the reference. So back in the day, there was definitely a hierarchy. Drag was a privilege, not a right. You had a resemblance of a drag mother that you become totally beholden to. I think I was a little bit different. I didn't have a drag mother. I watched other girls and the way that they did their drag, I was very accountable for the queens that were going before me, like Paris, and there were a couple of others. I can't remember their names though. And they came down from, they were the next generation of drag queens and transgendered, transsexual women. So you've got the likes of Dana DeMilo, Jenny Edwards, Georgina Bayer, Joe, Nielsen, all of those girls.
Mm.
So they were a direct representation of those queens, and they were very polished. Like you couldn't go out looking ho-ho. So that was a thing. There were things that you could do in the streets and things that you couldn't. So the difference that I see now with drag, because of RuPaul's Drag Race, loving her, is people are getting on the YouTube and social media is a lot bigger. Young people are stepping into drag and all of a sudden feel like they can take license to be arrogant or self-righteous, to be self-promoting, without learning their history or their whakapapa, where they come from. It was very interesting to me to note that all these young people, from my experience, a lot of young people are going, yes, yes, drag, blah, blah, RuPaul. Blah.
Yes, queen. Yes, work, mama. Oh, slay the hates down boots. You know, yeah, totally.
All of that, a song and dance is going on. Little do they know, we had legends, like actual legends, in our drag history, in our transgender history. Women that walked the streets of Wellington to give our community a voice,
Mm.
and it's almost like they're not talked about with young people, and it's almost like that whole kaupapa
Yeah.
has been forgotten. So I'm very privileged to have walked in amongst these women and listened to these amazing stories from history from the 60s, 70s, 80s. And because I come from a big family of women, I developed Amanda to be simplistically elegant as much as possible, to be approachable, so that the general populace can come up and tout sort of thing. And this is something that I held fast to repeat their stories, to uphold the integrity that they first laid, you know? So the difference is there was a sense of sisterhood. There was a sense of a drag sisterhood where we protected one another. Whereas now, the young people seem to be doing it for themselves. And it's how many clicks you can get on the YouTube or the Instagram, the other things.
We've had this conversation before where I say that I feel like drag, there was a cultural element to drag, which we, you know, like for us, I was passed down, you know, the skill of drag from you. You know, we would sit there and, you know, you would teach me, you know, the art of drag and the rules and all of that kind of stuff. And I do think it's sad that I feel like we are losing a little bit of that passing down of, you know, skills and information and history and all of the things that are probably important to drag. We're losing a little bit of the culture side to drag. Well, that's how I see it anyway. And I think that it's important for, you know, baby drag queens or drag queens coming up to remember, you know, where they came from. You know, it's super important. It's important to know your history and references and especially in your local towns as well. Like, I think people don't give enough credit to local older queens. You know, people kind of look at them at the bar now and think, oh, she's fucking tragic. But, you know, that woman there is the reason that it's okay for you to go out and, yes, queen, yes, mama slay, you know, and feel comfortable to go out and go wherever you like. So it's important that we remember those people as well. But yeah, definitely, I think we're losing something along the way.
Yeah. And I have this motto that I adopted very early on in my career as a drag queen. This motto was, these amazing, legendary human beings bled on the streets and they walked in the shadows so that we can walk in the sun. And I completely believe that.
Amen.
Because, you know, when just talking about the Wellington International Pride Parade, when I first established that in 2017, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. But I knew that we needed a parade. And Wellington hadn't had a pride parade in 23 years until I approached council and we had a little corridor and then all of a sudden it started happening. And, you know, I had a very interesting conversation with Georgina Byers. She was,
Rest in peace, Miss Georgina Beyer. God, what an absolute icon and legend. The world's first transsexual MP in the world. Yeah, she's amazing though.
yeah, I was standing there with Georgina and she was really sick, and my heart was so full because we were standing there talking, and there was a whole float of transgendered people that were going past and they were waving their hands and she was smiling. About two floats down was the police marching. And she looks over at me and she says, Amanda, look what you've done. And I was like, yeah, amazing. She goes, see across the road? I was bashed by that traffic light on Courtney Place. And I looked at her and I thought, what? And she said, I never thought I would live to see the day where my trans sisters and brothers would be walking side by side with the police. I never thought this would happen.
So you did that damn thing though. It's because of you that that happened. I mean, you also had. It was the first time that we've had the Air Force, the Army, the police, fire service, and there was one more, wasn't there?
Maybe.
Oh, the Navy as well. That's right. All walking in the parade in support. And there was a lot of backlash about that too, where there are members of our community who still felt, they were hurt by the fact that they were involved in the parade. But I think it also speaks volumes of progress. And we have to progress, and we have to move on, and sometimes we have to let go of the past to be able to live in the present. Like you said before.
Yeah, so when Georgina and I were standing there, I I got really emotional. Well, we both did. And she was saying, this is amazing. Let's keep that kaupapa going. Let's keep that corridor going.
Mm.
And yes, horrible things did happen to these women in the 70s and 80s. And I mean, they were horrible. The stories that I'd heard,
Oh,
just,
horrendous. Yeah.
yeah, horrible. But she was saying, today, the Pride Parade was a celebration of what we had accomplished.
Yeah.
And it's also laying down the foundations for the youth that were coming up so that they can identify. I identify with that police officer walking down the street, or that fireman, or that Navy guy.
Mm.
I want to be in the Navy, but I'm questioning, can I be in the Navy as a young man and still be gay? And then they're standing in a parade at 14 years old,
Yeah.
looking at these men thinking, I can do this. It
Yeah.
gives our youth hope. And it was a visual demonstration of how important it is to keep our community visible, to let people know that these changes are worthwhile. They're aiding our young people, stopping them from committing
Mm.
suicide. It's giving them hope, and it's quiet. I mean, the parade's not quiet,
Oh
but
no, the parade was an absolute flamboyancy. I've never felt such a sense of like pride and community like I did with the Wellington International Pride Parade and doing those events. And it wasn't just about the parade. I mean, there was, events before and there was events after, but for us, it was a chance where all of our drag family was able to get together and we were all able to be there to celebrate Pride. But I mean, the people in the streets, the vibe was electric. It wasn't a parade about having a fan out or swinging a tit around. It was a celebration of everybody as a community from young to old. And that's what I think is so remarkable about you is because, I know how stressful that was and what a process that was to go through. And I was there supporting you the whole way. And but it takes one person to make a difference. And that's exactly what you did. And you proved that, pride parades don't have to be about sexual, like being sexual or highly sexual and wearing as little clothing as possible. Yeah, it's fabulous. And, I wouldn't change that for the world. But I do think it's important to remember that coming together like that can be a celebration. It doesn't need to be a fight. It doesn't need to be a protest anymore. And yeah, I still get it. It's still a political statement, but still at the same time, it should be focusing about a celebration rather than trying to prove a point. And that's exactly what you did. And the people of New Zealand should thank you for that because it was by far one of the most fantastically run events, and that sense of community was super strong. And that's what I think we miss from a lot of pride events is that I feel we're there, we're present, but we're still disconnected, where we're there. I'm lesbian, so I'm over here, and the butch gays are here, and But whereas you created an event that felt inclusive of everybody, including
That,
the army, including the police, including everybody, even the dogs that came to the parade as well. I mean, you included our four-legged furry friends too, as well. And that wasn't me
people,
on my all fours in the middle of the street. So calm down. Obviously, Amanda being my drag mother, you have passed on some wisdom to me over the years. Have I listened? No. Um, you always used to tell me not to swear in public, and it's probably the one
okay,
thing that I'm probably known for the most, right?
all right.
But what would you have? What advice do you have for baby queens who are wanting to start in the art of drag? And what do you think is really important for them to know before going into drag?
See, I think if you're just starting out in drag, be have a sense of integrity. Understand what 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 your drag persona is going to represent. Why do you want to do drag? If
Mm.
it's just to dress up and put on makeup because you're quite stunning and fabulous and you've got a beautiful body and you have this look, fabulous. I think do that. But if you're going to go and take yourself out and do shows, understand that people are going to be looking at you and you have a responsibility to your community
Mm.
to have some resemblance of class and decency and sophistication. Don't be one of those queens that people come up, oh, you're gorgeous. Yes, I know. Get away from me. Don't touch me. I see that quite often. I've seen that a couple of times, especially in Auckland. Um, and I'm just baffled. You put on a wig and you put on makeup, you chuck your diddly away, and you're looking at other people like they're a freak. No, 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 baby. You started doing this, all right? No, baby. Let's recognize, honey. You have your diddly stuck up your bum bum, and you have the audacity to look at other people like they're freaky. Don't do that. If you're going to put yourself out in the public arena, expect that there are people that are not going to appreciate you, but also hold on to the hope that there is that one person that will.
What I've taken from you as your drag daughter is that there is a responsibility for the gay community and to be a representative of the gay community, but to all communities, not just the LGBT community. I see it as we are beacons of hope, because we quite often have people who have issues or problems and they kind of gravitate towards drag queens for advice and for love. And it's a bit like, I feel like it really is a Pacifica or Maori queen thing where, like Queen Kong is very similar as well, where she is a leader, she leads by example. And that was taught by her drag family, which was, like Bucky and Tess. And then I come from a similar drag family. So I feel like it's something that's passed on through us. But I think it's important for new queens when they're coming up as well, is that you do have a responsibility to represent for your community at all times, because we are still fighting for rights and we are still fighting for acceptance and we are still facing adversity, and yep, we're progressing, we absolutely are progressing, but times change and things change. I mean, it's even like the conversations we're having at the moment around race, which is just fucking ridiculous that we're even still having these conversations.
As I got along in the drag career, I realized that I could use Amanda as a platform. And that platform was to help people understand that we bleed like them, we go to the wharepaki like them, we are just a unique package of fabulousness that just happens to explode like the Miami sound machine. Boo boo.
I think my favorite quote in regards to drag and all of that would be from To Wong Fu, which is like from Noxema Jackson, when she says, "When a gay man has way too much fashion sense for one gender, she is a drag queen." And I think that really sums it up. I mean, I have no fashion sense as a man because I just don't give a fuck now. I'm 39. Um, and I spend all my money on drag. So that's probably my favorite quote of anything. What I want to know as well is, obviously in Drag Race, I was like an advocate. Me and Minnie were advocating for older drag queens.
Yes.
And what are your thoughts? Like, would you ever compete in RuPaul's Drag Race?
To be honest, I don't think I would because For a number of reasons. I think RuPaul's Drag Race has given a lot of new queens a platform to be quite fabulous, and I'm really excited when I see it because I can see drag taking on a whole new skin.
Mm.
It's moved on from my day. I've become so familiar with who I am as Amanda in drag. And like I've said to you before, the challenges, the stress. I mean, I was stressed when you went away for 2 weeks, and I was for 4 weeks.
To everybody out there as well. So Amanda and my mum were calling every day, constantly, sometimes 4 times a day, because they were like, "Oh, I miss him," and
Or we'd
I'm
had a
wondering.
dream.
I wonder what she's doing. I wonder how she's
They,
doing. She hasn't come home
she's
yet.
in the
This is a
gutter.
good
She's in
sign.
the gutter tonight.
This,
I had a dream. Oh, Rockshell, I had a dream. This is 2 o'clock in the morning, by the way. Rockshell, I
oh,
had a dream.
totally.
They're not feeding her. Guys, she is starving.
I
And
mean,
they
we
you
were
know, and
starving, to be fair. I
oh,
mean, I think the
were you?
budget was like $20 for a meal per day or something like that, like for the meals. And you know
See,
us, like, I mean, I
$100.
ordered KFC the night that me, Queen, and Hannah had the KFC feast, and I think there was $140 worth of KFC. So I'm not quite
Easily.
sure how like $20 was supposed to feed a 7 foot drag queen. You know what I mean?
Let alone three of them.
Well, I mean, if it was like, maybe $10 worth of chips from the fish and chip and we got a loaf of bread and some tomato sauce, we'd be right. But you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? That's very Kiwi, isn't it? Like the chip butty. That's a drag queen
Yeah,
staple, is
bread,
chicken
buddy.
and chips, pretty
Oh,
much.
look. Don't
Yeah.
touch a drag queen at 3 o'clock in the morning, walking
No.
home, trying to cross the lights. She's gone bash, yeah. She's gone bash. And it does
Oh,
not matter
especially if
whether
she
you look
doesn't have
like Dolph
food.
Lundgren either.
Like if she doesn't have food, don't even approach her until she's got food. I think it's
Yeah.
important. Feed your local drag queens. Like that's what we should be putting out here, really. So we're gonna move on to our first game, Amanda. So like since you're my
Okay.
first guest as well on the podcast, you're
Woo!
gonna get to like experience the experience of the experiences. You know what I mean?
You know
So
what? I'm down.
this section is called Creme de la Penis. And this is our first section, which is something that at the moment you are completely obsessed with and cannot live without. Like it could be a TV show, it could be a food or something that you're like you love it sick at the moment. It's something that you're just into. What would be your creme de la penis?
Ok, mon crème de la crème maintenant, ça
Totally.
c'est euh, pomme du parc.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, my crème de la pénis at the moment would be roast pork.
Oh, okay. Have you just
Yeah,
started eating roast pork or?
as of 3 days ago.
Yeah, but okay. Does it
And
go straight through you?
no, it's
Oh,
just like a
see,
thing. It's just
I can eat ham, I can eat
ham.
bacon, I
Yeah,
can eat any of that. But if I have pork chops, go straight through me. Like I am shitting it out on the toilet, and like as soon
you're
as it's
just
gone in
so
my mouth,
explicit, eh? Just
yeah. Well,
share that.
it's called scat chat, so you may as well. Like a little bit of poo's
Wow,
fine, as long as there's no corn
thanks.
or peas, and people don't
Ah,
choke on them, we'll be fine.
ah,
Okay,
wow.
so our next section is called
Nice.
Fanny's Fast Round. So
Okay,
this section is you have to answer as many questions as you possibly can. It's quick
okay.
fire in 5 minutos,
5 minutes.
and
Yeah, okay.
then you will be the first guest. I know, get excited because you love to be the first at everything or break in a first. Just saying.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
Ow, ow, ow.
true story, not a true word spoken, girl. Is you will end up on the poopsie scale, which
Okay.
once we've come to the end of like the first season of Scat Chat, if it even becomes a thing, we're going to award like the pooper of the year, and that will be the person who
Yes,
gets the most questions on the poopsie scale in Fanny's Fast Forward. Okay, so you ready, Amanda?
I am, please, Spanks.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. If you were an animal, what animal would you be?
A butterfly.
Favorite food?
Pork.
What's your favorite game?
Monopoly.
Why don't you wear underwear and muumuus?
Yes.
I said why.
My answer was yes.
Who's the pretty one, me or you?
I would say you.
Oh, that's really kind. I actually thought that you were
That's
going to
true.
be like, I'm the pretty
No,
one.
it's true. Who's the
That,
question?
which direction would a hot dog split?
Thank you. Right in my mouth.
No,
Amazing.
which direction? Across or upwards?
Yeah, this.
Yeah, hello. I'm not surprised, to be honest. It's you we're talking about. Okay, name a hobby that's yours and it can't be dick.
Oh my god. Okay, a hobby that is mine would be knitting.
When have you knitted anything?
I actually, when Maya was being born, I knitted her
Yeah, and
booties, a hat, and
how old's Maya now?
she's 17. So
Exactly,
knitting
that's
was
my
a hobby.
point. That's 17 years since you've knitted
And
anything, bitch.
I tell you, I could get a knitting needle and some
No,
wool, and
I don't
I
believe
could
that.
make
I
a
actually
sock.
think we should show the people, like, you have to prove that to us that you can still knit.
Oh,
Anyway,
hey,
excuse me, we're
man.
going top or bottom?
Oh, definitely a top.
Okay. Oh, that's disgusting. Folder or scruncher?
Folders. A scrunchie for your hair?
No,
Is that
as
what
in
you
like in the toilet. Do you fold your toilet paper or do you scrunch it and then wipe?
Oh my god.
I know, people do that.
Okay, this is like really personal now. I fold politely.
Oh, well, I kind of gathered that. I mean, were you playing Enya at the same time as you were folding the toilet paper? Like,
And I often have Ave
uh, and
Maria.
then there's like a plop. Yeah, totally, perfectly done. What would you
Gross.
do if you found a penguin in the freezer?
I would call it happy feet.
What do you want to come back as if you died tomorrow and you were reborn?
If I died tomorrow and I was reborn, I would definitely come back as Lassie.
What's it like being old?
I don't feel old, so I wouldn't know. I
What's one
feel
thing you
young.
can't live without?
Family and people I love.
What's your drag staple?
Black.
I mean, hello. What would your debut album be called?
Kaurera e wahine.
And that translates to
I don't know, but it
woman who
sounds
likes
really great.
chips.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Is
just
there
sounded really pretty.
and then the follow-up album will be, is there dip with that?
Yeah.
Okay, well that was the end of our fast round. But do you know what? To be
Yay.
honest, like
Did I win? Did I
no, well,
win?
to be honest, like I think five
Yeah.
minutes is A, way too long for that question section.
Oh,
And
wow.
B, I think it was just more interesting just not even putting a time limit on it and just quickly answering all those questions. I think you did well. Well done,
Love.
Amanda. Round of applause, everybody at home listening. Well done. All my te paki
Thanks.
paki.
That means clap your hands in Māori.
You came back as one of the highest requested people for me to do a podcast with, which is quite amazing.
Wow.
Got a couple of questions from the public, and
Okay.
I thought we could hang on, I'm just gonna
Hey,
go.
that's quite cool when people say, do you want to have a podcast? Because we do so many fun things together, but it's always just private for
Yeah,
just you
but
and
I
I, and
mean,
no one else.
we send each other random messenger
Oh,
messages
look,
all day. Like if we put all of them
half of
into a
it made it
video and
public.
then plastered it everywhere, people would be like, these people have lost the fucking plot. Because
Well,
we do it all the
honestly.
time. I mean, then that's where Scat Chat, really, it's kind of fitting that you are the first person on here because Scat Chat
Oh,
is kind of how I looked at every morning. I used to get up to go to work at the Lido and go and work with the kids. And I'd get up in the morning, I'd have my shower, and then I'd have my coffee and I'd need my morning poo. And then I would sit there and I would poo and
and
we
I
would
think,
call each other every morning. And I mean, we weren't watching each other poo or anything, but I would put you face up in the bathroom and then I would
yeah, and
get
I'd do the
toilet paper
same.
in the toilet so that, it would stop the ploppage.
Yeah.
Because
And
that's kind of
it was
affecting.
just a catch up. It was like, how was your sleep? Are you okay?
Totally.
What have you got planned for
And
today?
that's where the
Stuff like
whole
that.
idea for calling it Scat Chat really came from because I was always sitting on the toilet and we would just talk
Yeah.
shit. So it was
And we
like,
did.
so you're really the
We still
reason
do.
that it's called Scat Chat. Most people will be
Oh my
thinking
God.
typical Spankie, has to be gross and foul, but actually that's where it
From,
came
yeah.
from. Okay, so anyway, back to the questions
Put
from the
that thing back
people.
where it come from. So help me. So help me.
So, okay, so our first viewer question.
Sure.
What was Spankie like as a baby drag queen? What was I like as a baby drag queen?
I can answer this really quickly and
Go.
honestly.
A cunt.
Efficient, courteous,
Oh,
one
wow.
of the most well-mannered people. The thing that I questioned a lot, I was very elitist and I would talk to all the rich people. Spankie did not see you as a person with money or wealth or
I still
position
don't.
or prestige.
Yeah,
Yeah, you still don't.
I still
And
don't.
you've taught me that. Spankie would go and make the people in the gutter, do you want a sandwich? And I'm like, don't talk to those people. But
Yeah.
but then she'd stop and she'd make me stop. And I realized, oh my God, like you made people feel like they belonged, like they had a purpose. There was a reason for them, whether you knew them or not. She was that sort of baby drag queen. She was very, and I'll say this quite honestly, striking. The body was beautiful. So imagine a beautiful white. So she was a white version of me.
Yeah.
But
100%.
you had a. I was very reserved and controlled and very calculated. I knew we were doing A, B, C, D. Whereas you knew you were doing A, B, C, D, but then you chuck the fun in it.
Yeah.
There'd always be an element of fun. And that's what used to frighten me a little bit. Once I become accustomed to how you worked and how you generated with people and how you engage with people, I started to sit back and I would let you take the reins and I was never ever disappointed. It's the
The
truth.
next one. Next
Yeah.
question. Was Spankie bottle fed or did she come straight off the tip?
Nah. So there ain't no titty involved. There ain't no titty involved.
She's a platinum
She's like
star gay.
massaged it, and then she's like, "I thank you so much. Hey,
Totally.
hi,
Totally.
I'll be back."
Was it pity or talent that made you choose Spankie Jackzon as your drag daughter?
100%. Again, truthfully, when I saw her in the Marge Simpson hairdo,
It was awful.
it wasn't her aesthetic that attracted me to Spanx. It was her. She was amazing at choreography. Her lip sync was incredible, and it was something that I hadn't seen in the other queens. She didn't care what people thought about what she looked like. She didn't need all the jewelry or the corsets or the sparkly clothes. She
Mm.
had this raw talent that was incredible. It was dynamic. And, I see it today when she gets up and performs. I'm sitting back and crying half the time and then clapping all the time and watching videos of you when you do your performances overseas. I'm immensely proud. But I knew that's where you were going to be. And I remember telling you years ago, if ever I stepped down in Wellington,
Yeah.
I know that you would step up and I would be comfortable. I'd be so happy because it's part of our family, you know? Are you getting overwhelmed?
No, I think that, like earlier we were talking about like legacies and people that kind of
Yeah.
inspired you to start drag and the rules and, all of those kind of things. And I do feel that it is part of my responsibility, or I do feel
Love
like
that.
I will pass on your legacy through, or your legacy of what you have done will now it will is living through me, but that's because you saw something in me in the beginning. Like we wouldn't be
Absolutely.
here having this conversation. I mean, I haven't even begun to achieve what I'm gonna achieve. Like we're on our way, but I'm
Exactly.
definitely not started by any means. I mean, we started, but just get ready, world. I'm about to smash you in the dick.
I knew in my heart, something had spoken to me. A whisper in the morning, like that. Someone had spoken to me and said, this child is off to greatness. And then watching the program and seeing how you feed, that means to look after, to total, to support the other girls when sometimes they didn't deserve it. But watching you do that just reminded me of when we were walking down Courtney Place and there was a homeless person, and I'm sure they peed their pants. And you bent down and said, "Hey, look, I can't give you any money, but I can go and buy you a sandwich." And I was like, "Get away from that person. you stupid girl. And it didn't matter. As her drag mother, she's meant to do what I tell her, but she didn't. You
No.
went and you got a sandwich and you came out and you bought him a sandwich and then apologized to me. And I'm looking at you thinking, your sense of your moral compass was higher than your devotion to your drag mother.
It's always something internal. I don't know where it kind of comes from, but
Your mum,
inside of well,
oh, sorry,
well, mum and dad, yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Like I
both your
think,
mum
yeah,
and dad.
definitely. Wrong and right was definitely something probably that did come from mum and dad because I was such a shit of a kid. So it was. I learned hard, wrong and right. It's true. It's fucking true. So anyway, I need to move on because we're running out of time. We've got 7 minutes left and I've got a couple more questions. But obviously you were such an inspiration for my drag career and, me even being interested in drag and then, sharing your kaupapa and sharing your skills and sharing that with us. And I say this, we used to sit in front of the mirror side by side and we would do an eye for an eye, bitch, and then you would organize a Chinese banquet. And then
Oh, at
we all,
home.
do you remember? And then we organized the Chinese banquet. And this was the first time that I'd seen Amanda really eat. Like, if you're a New Zealand drag queen, like, we eat. Me,
We,
queen, exactly the same. Eat. Like, when we're going to eat, we're gonna eat. Anyway, so I'd gone round to, learn the skills of drag. And we'd done our little makeup lesson, and then of course we had this banquet, and I'd had a plate or so, and Amanda, full credit, bitch, sat there and finished the whole banquet by herself in 4 hours. She would have a little break, and then you go back to it, and that's exactly the same thing. But it's been such a great thing for me to have somebody like you behind me because you are really like one of my biggest champions, like as same
oh,
as mum and dad. Do you know what I mean? You've always kind of just been 100% behind me, and there's something that's so rare about having people who are really in your corner, and there's no expectation of there's something on the
agenda.
other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So the fact that we ended up by pure chance ending up doing this TV show together, got to do The Boy, the Queen, and Everything in Between, which was a Lucky Leagues production and written by the fabulous Ramon Tuweke.
Oh,
And she, yeah, kia ora, she is fabulous and
I know.
fabulous trans woman who wrote this amazing TV show from her stories and past stories of our
Lived
very real,
experience.
genuine community in Auckland and K Road. And it was so fabulous for us to work together on a project. So, how was it for you playing Max and playing a role of a lifetime, really? I mean,
Yeah.
it was really just you, to be fair, but like, I mean, that's you everyday life. So if people think that that's put on, no, babes. I mean, it's 10 times worse than you're going to see on TV, I'm just saying. But what was that
So
like for you?
I think, firstly, I would like to say doing it with you was absolutely my highlight. I don't think I could have managed if it wasn't for you. I mean, you brought so much energy on set. And you were lucky. You were very fortunate. You'd come on set and then you'd have 3 days off. Whereas for Max, he was on set every day and so a number of scenes.
Mm.
So I was getting tired, and then you'd come in and you'd say, "Wake up!" or "Go and have a sleep," or "Have a cup of coffee." Just having your energy there was amazing. So I want to, thank you so much for that.
Ah, hey,
And I think,
it doesn't even begin to repay the shit that you've done for me. So
oh,
anyway, get a grip.
yeah, yeah. So playing the character of Max, I did not audition for the character of Max. I actually auditioned for another piece, and it was suggested that I audition for Max. When I got the role, I was dumbfounded because I'm not an actor, well, an actress per se. I didn't go to acting school. I had no technical or theatrical background, whereas Spanx does. I had done a couple of things, like I've done Shortland Street, Xena Once Were Warriors.
I'm sure you
My,
played like hooker number three and the strip as well, didn't you?
oh yeah, I did. Me and my God. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, so I'd done a couple of pieces, but they were like little segments. You just sort of step in and step out, and
Stepping
in my
in,
part,
stepping in.
Yeah, step in, tea that.
Yeah, we
Well,
took that from the set. Like that was something we took home from there because they'd be like, "Oh, copy that," and we'd be like, "Oh, tea that," or they'd like step in. They would be like, "Oh, stepping in to like change something in the scene." So we've
oh, do
taken
your
those things
makeup.
home with us now. We say them all the time.
It
We're like, "Oh,
was amazing thing. That's
stepping in."
stepping
Oh,
in.
our other favorite is continuality. It's that's not
Continuity.
right. Continuity. That's continuity, but I call it continuality. Yeah.
Yeah, and, learning all those technical skills, being around really professional people that knew what they were doing, the cameraman, the sound man,
Oh,
our
everybody on that set was incredible. You know, the cast is incredible.
cast.
The cast is incredible. Like it was such a joy for us. I don't think every project is the same, but when you have a good group of people who everybody was just there to have fun and we made a fun show and the environment was great. We all put our head down, ass up, got the work done. And I can't
It
wait for
was,
everybody to see it because I think it's super hilarious. The writing by Ramon is just fabulous. It's so easy to deliver good writing. I mean, you're
and that
incredible.
also, and to also have Ramon as a director, like, I want to see something yummy.
Oh, she
Yeah.
was so funny, eh? Like she would be
Oh,
like, "Oh, this is the I'm feeling the deliciousness like oozing out of the sea." She's so descriptive with her words, eh? Yeah. Oh, I'm
and
feeling the yumminess. Like I can feel the honey dripping down me. Like she was just and we know
and
that Ramon's had some honey drip down her a few times, just
oh
saying.
wow, but just having her support, she had this understanding. She could see how the character was living
Mm.
in her mind, to be able to impart that onto us, so that we could give life to Max, make him breathe, make him real, make him tangible. But my favorite was this. You'll see this on the show.
Oh, so Ramon, like in one of the scenes, I don't know if we can really, we won't say, but she has a
Yeah, we
cameo
can't
in the show, and
wet
it was by
yourself.
far one of the funniest things that
Highlights.
it's
Oh my
such
gosh.
a highlight of the show, and it was such a 2 minute section. But yeah, we were laughing about it for days. So it comes out on February 1st
Yeah, next
on
Tuesday.
TVNZ Plus in New Zealand. So hopefully it will go worldwide. I think it'll be pretty successful. I would like to hope so. I mean, that's
I
me like thinking for myself, but I think it's a new piece of New Zealand television. It's completely different from kind of what has been done before. It's being told from our New Zealand culture as well, which is very rare to the rest of the world too. We're giving New Zealand gay culture, which is new and
authentic.
fresh and it hasn't really been talked about apart from Girl, about like Kamarupe, another New Zealand icon and legend, who was also in the same primary school as Amanda. So, that's how old Amanda really is.
Yeah.
Need to watch, everybody out there needs to watch The Boy, the Queen, and everything in between. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to thank my guest today, Amanda, the
Oh,
amazing Lahore, my drag
thank you.
mother, sophistication
Thank you so much.
style, and a fat ass, and doesn't wear any undies. So that's always hot. And likes to ring the bottom of the toilet. So you can thank her for Scat Chat being the title of.
Hey, thank you. This has been such a privilege and such an honor. It's so great. I never thought that we would share so many secrets that we
Oh,
haven't shared
totally.
in public.
I
That's
100%.
amazing.
No, well, that's the
But
whole
thank
point of
you.
these. It's like, if you're going to do anything in entertainment, you have to be willing to be your soul. And I think both of us are very much, there's nothing off limits. And
We
if
are.
you
No,
ask me
we
a
are.
question, like I will answer it pretty bloody honestly. And sometimes that can come across rude or blunt, but I would rather life was like that and that we can just have real conversations like this. So thank you
It's
very much
amazing.
for being a guest and
Amazing.
being my
All the
first
success.
guest, the most important one, the first guest.
Oh, thank
So
you.
also just out there, if the audio is a little bit shit, we're still trying to figure things out. I mean, it took us what 4 hours to actually get the Zoom working to
Actually,
be
4
able to
hours.
like to
And that was all
actually
my
do it.
fault, really. Yeah, but
Well, that's
it's done.
because
Here
you're
we are.
elderly,
Ta-da.
so
Yeah.
we are going to put you in the rest home soon. So get
Hey, and
excited
I
about
must
that.
say,
I won't be paying for it, but.
huge ups to your t-shirt. Thanks. I do like that. What does that
Oh, thank
say?
you. So I hope you know that you were loved. Is we were given these T-shirts when we went to Rupauls Drag Con in LA. I can't remember the
Wow.
charity off my head, but I will post it in the link as well. So you can go on here, and
Please.
the profit from the T-shirt goes straight back to the LGBT charity. I think it was to do with like kids, like and young kids, queer
That's so
kids,
hot.
and finding somewhere. So yeah, definitely go and get a t-shirt. Also, if you're in the mood to buy something, you can go to spankyjackson.com. And you can pick up yourself a piece of
Yay.
merch. And anyway, that's the rest of it for now. But thank you for joining us for Scat Chat, the first episode. Please let us know your thoughts. It's a work in progress, but thank you, Amanda, for joining me. I appreciate you, and I
Thank you,
love you.
Spanks.
And thank you
I
so much
love
for
you.
the gift of drag that you've given me.
Oh, kia ora. Take care, everyone, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Be kind, be nice to each other, and tune in to Scat Chat with Spankie Jackson. Kia ora.
I'm going to use that as an ad now. Like, I'm just going to put that at the top. Thank you for listening to the first episode of Scat Chat and to my amazing guest Amanduh for joining us. You can follow her on social media at Amanduh and follow her journey. Don't forget to click subscribe and download, as you young people do, and so that you don't miss out on any future episodes of Scat Chat. Please let us know what your thoughts were, or if there's somebody you'd like me to interview, and don't forget to wash your hands, and if it looks like chocolate, it's probably poo.